What's up, guys? It's Chris, back in a new house with another video. Yes, you've heard correct. I moved out of my old house. Now I'm in another house in New Jersey, and guess what our first project's going to be on the channel? Landscape lights. Just to give you a little background on this house did have a lot of bushes in and around the front door area, which I just showed you. We've removed a lot of bushes, we've removed a lot of trees, and now it's time to make the curb appeal go up a little higher. I've already gotten so many compliments from the neighbors. They did not like the original landscaping. You couldn't see the front door, you couldn't see the front of the house. We trimmed everything back, and we took down a couple of trees, as well as we planted a few shrubs just to make the house look a little bit more modern. So I spaced everything out last night and I powered it on temporarily, and I thought I would need about 5, but 4 gets the job done over here. So the first thing you guys want to do, you guys want to plan everything. You guys want to rough everything in. You want to lay down your wire before you start doing any digging or any trenching. You want to get everything done once. Even I ran into the headache of I was going to try to go underneath the pavers, but these pavers were just you know, put together too snug where I didn't want to tear them apart. And I had to put a lot of pressure to get a few of them up, and I just didn't feel like putting them back together, and I felt that it wouldn't go back the right way. But in your scenarios, you might have this done before a paving job. I just didn't want to go through the hassle of removing, you know, 15 or 20 pavers and then have the hassle of putting them back. Let's go ahead and open the box, see what it comes with. So it looks like we have a little, maybe user guide, and then we have some protective foam. Cool. So you see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 lights, and it looks like 2 sticks in each cardboard. And they give you ample amount of lead cable, so that's pretty good. So the first thing you see I did was I ran some line. This is some 14 gauge by 2. All of the materials I used I'll link in the description, but I put all the wires of the route that I wanted to go through. So I have wires coming from here. I picked up a couple of these pavers, and then I ran the wire coming here. Over here I didn't need that much access, so I closed everything off, and then this wire will feed these 4 lights. I apologize for all the background noise. We've got some construction going on in the neighborhood. You might hear a circular saw, nail gun go off, as well as some hammering going around. But let's go ahead and get to the basics. We're going to start off on what tool I use to dig my trench or to make space for the cable. I used a 7-inch scraper that I picked up from Home Depot. This tool is used mainly for, you know, scraping ice off your sidewalk, but I found it works great for cutting into your sod, cutting into your lawn, and making a nice deep trench for your cable. So what I like doing is I like laying my cable out on this side and then running my light in a little bit deeper, just because I do plan on overseeding this area. And before I overseed, I want to have the landscapers come out, and I want them to aerate the lawn. So when they aerate the lawn, they have a machine that runs across the whole lawn, and it pokes into the lawn and it aerates, as well as it pulls out a soil plug. So it has a core aerator that rolls around the whole lawn, and they dig maybe 5 or 6 inches into the ground, and they build out all of these cores. So I don't want that machine running over my lines of power, and I don't want them running over the lights. So I could tell my landscaper, hey, I have lights over here, look out for the lights, make your border pass run by the lights, and I don't have to worry about them cutting the cable. So it's simple. Take this tool, put your foot in. As you see, it didn't go in all the way. You rock back and forth. If you do have a rock over there, you might feel it. You tip it to the side, go a little deeper, rock back, come back, go a little deeper. And basically that makes the line. And once it comes out, I like putting it in a little bit more and then moving a little bit like this to make a nice V shape into my trench. So you see that's one part. And then I like coming maybe about an inch into the trench, just so you know it stays in the same line. And then again, a little bit of pressure, come back down. And it might not be straight, but you just come in the middle of both, and then you can straighten it up as well as widen it. So this is step one of making your trench. So as you can see, I already have my wire buried in here. This used to be my old scraper that I used, but the handle broke off. But it works well because you could use this with your hand to try to get the cables. You just got to get on your hands and knees. I like to take this. I don't like putting a lot of pressure. It's just to put the cable down. And you'll see once you get the cable down a little bit, you might run into a couple of rocks or some debris, but this cable does get around a lot of stuff pretty easily. Also, you saw right here, there was a little bit of excess that I doubled up. I know that an aerator will never get to this area just because it's too much of a curve and there's a lot of rocks in this area too. So I don't mind doing this area by hand. And it's also good to double up just in case you ran everything too tight and you need a little bit of more slack. I ran my line over here and I started my trench, and I want one light by this rock over here. And in this reason why I went it by the rock is I have a swing. I have a swing that's going to be put up on this tree, and the kids are going to be swinging back and forth in this area. It's not as close to the rock, but I'm going to have a lot of the kids come around, and I don't want them to knock the lights around. In my last house, I did have a lot of experience with putting in these lights, as well as kids walking by, kicking them, the landscaper's guy coming and hitting it with the lawnmower. So it's something where I've been accustomed to fixing these lights, and there's a couple of tips and tricks that I want to show you with installing these lights on your house. So I'm going to want one light over here. So I started with my trench, and this area is mulch and dirt. We plan on maybe putting some pavers here. That's why I want to come a little bit further away from the house, because we might in the future maybe add some pavers over here. So I got this light already in, but these are the metal stakes that go into the ground. They're pretty long, maybe about 7-8 inches. They go into the ground, and this area is for your wire to come in. Your wire comes in and it should sit over here so you could screw your light on. So in the past, I've always come up with different solutions on how to drive this stake into the ground. So this stake you see on this top is the part that's threaded. This is where the light threads onto this stake and what holds it in place. The first time I was doing it, I hit this stake on this threaded part with a hammer. It waxed out of shape, and good luck trying to thread on your light onto that. Then I started using a bottle cap. You could also use a socket if you have any spare sockets around. This is 15/16, and this can go right around the threaded part. So when you do hit it, it hits on this part, not the threaded part. But I had some old piece of 4x4 laying around. I put in a mailbox a couple days ago, and I had maybe around 2 feet of 4x4. So here's what I did. On this 4x4, I measured from here to here, which is about 16 inches. So I marked on where my edge would be. So my edge is right here, and I made a hole for the stake. So I could take this stake, put it in here, line it up on this hole, and then hit it in. The reason why I did it that way is you don't want to always constantly measure where you want your stake to be. I know that I want these lights to be 15 or 16 inches, whichever way I measured it, away from the first set of pavers. So your pavers, or whatever sidewalk you have or road you have, is going to be pretty straight. You want to have it uniform, where you don't want to have all of your lights misaligned. Using a block of wood that you already measured that is straight will keep you honest and keep everything straight. So here's what I'm going to do. So this is like this, and then I just hit this end with my sledgehammer. And I also put another 1/4 inch hole on this side, so when I do have areas like those floodlights over there where it doesn't matter which how far it is, and I just need something strong enough to hit it in, I would just put this in here. So my stake fits right there. Put it in the ground, and then hammer it on the top. If you only take away one thing from this video, please take away, do not hammer this. If you hammer that, your stake will be useless and you won't be able to thread your light in. So you can see I made a crosshair to mark the center. Also I made a crosshair on this side, and I always like to make sure that this line would match up with one of them, so I know which side the stake should go on. So we have the opening on this side, and I know that my stake should end up somewhere right here. Cool. Now we have our stake in the ground, and this threaded rod is not damaged at all. So while pounding this area, this trench collapsed a little. In the dirt it doesn't collapse as much, but this is mulch and it's very dry. So all we got to do is take this cable, get it into the trench, and then we just screw this on. And over here I don't mind because we're not going to aerate this, and these lights might be here temporarily due to us getting some pavers installed. So really not sure on how permanent this light will be. So another tip, I did spend a couple extra bucks on these connectors, and these connectors are cool. We have your wires that will go in here, and I'm going to splice in another set to show you, and then these just snap right into place. I also remember that this cable, one end is a ribbed end, another end is a flat end. So I always keep in mind ribbed to the right, and then the flat is on the left. And this is our little T intersection where this cable will have to get buried. So we could just loop all this. You could cut off the excess if it's going to be your permanent location. But right now this isn't going to be permanent. This is just temporarily until we decide to get our pavers done. And you always want to make sure your T intersection is always deep enough so you could cover it and then step over it. We got this light here, and all you got to do is unscrew this a little bit. You loosen it up, and then you could change the direction of however you want it. Let's just keep this loose till we can turn the lights on, and then we figure everything out. So you guys see I just put in 4 of them. I think this A6500 heated up, so I guess it shut down. But let's go over what we did today. So we got one light here. We got the wire. You could probably see the indentation. Another light here. Another light there. And another light. I'm going to give you a couple of the tips for when you're doing a landscape lighting. So you want to use floodlights when you want to have a wide beam. You see over there by the rocks I have a wide beam that I want to aim at the house, and I want to aim at the flag, just so it's lit up and it's properly you know, illuminated. Also in areas like this where you have a nice piece of landscape and feature, you want to have a light to feature that. So you want this to be bright, as well as you want the property, the house, to be lit up too. That's why I chose these. These have a wide beam, so it has enough lumens, enough brightness to show me where the path is, to show the shrub, the tree, as well as accent the house. If you see other people's landscaping. There's a couple of mistakes that they do. Sometimes they just focus on the shrub, or they focus on the house and they don't focus on the path. But with this light, this Leon light kit from Amazon, we're able to focus on all three. I did want to light this properly. In my mind, I would have had a floodlight, well light, as well as a path light, but these lights are almost 3-in-1. So this line, you see, this is still going to be gravel. It's going to be dirt. We're going to probably add some more daffodils, buttercups, tulips, all in this area. This is some weird type of grass, so I'm not sure what we're going to do yet. But as you can see, I'm working on the lawn. I put down some pre-emergent. I put down some, you know, crabgrass preventer. We have a bunch of, you know, this over here. As soon as the weather starts getting warmer, I'm going to start spot spraying some of the weeds. So this lawn, I think maybe in the next 3-4 seasons, it'll be, you know, top notch of where I had my last house. But I think we're starting off on the right foot, getting this landscaping done. I'm going to try to show a couple of before pictures of how this used to look. There was actually a big tree right here, so as you can see, like, you would walk into the path and you would have to cut around to actually go. And there was a bunch of large trees here, and over here in this area we had some like mangrove type, you know, it was just a bunch of roots. There was a tree growing in the middle, so we had all of that stuff removed. In the future we might add some pavers like right along that line. We want to line up with this side, cut around, and add some pavers here. That's why I kept this line on the outside of where I'd like that. So that's just something in the future. I'm going to go ahead and tie these, bury these cables, and once you bury them, all you have to do is step over it a little bit, and then that trench will close. But as I said, I'm going to overseed as well as core aerate this fall, so if I do a little bit of damage, it's not that big of a deal. And along this end right here, we're not going to put those can type lights. We've had a lot of issues in the past where, you know, people walking by at our last house, you know, we even had a case of a kid, you know, kicked one of the light just because you know, he felt like kicking the light. We had landscapers with the lawnmower hit one light with the lawnmower, that light broke. So we're gonna have some lights on this side that's gonna be sort of like well lights, but dome well lights. So that's going to be in the future, but I did want to future-proof myself and run this line. So this line runs over here, it feeds over there, and then I spliced it. So I'm going to show you one of the lights, and I'm going to show you one of the connectors. This saved me a lot of time while doing this project. This was a kit from Leon Light, so these are official Leon Light connectors for landscape lighting. And I'm going to show you how this makes the job a lot easier. So with these lights, what I like doing is just taking this, you know, sort of splitting them open a little bit. Cut this end off, cut that end off. And then this section right here has an opening, so this opens, and like I said, we always want to keep things uniform. So this is my ribbed end, this is my flat end. So you could see on this side there's some ribs, so you could identify it and feel it. This side is very flat. So all we have to do is inside here there's some connectors. There's a pin, there's a needle. So we push this through and then we press it in, and then we could push this one through, and you could feel the needle piercing the cable. So over here on the inside we have 2 pins. So there's 2 pins over here that when you run the cable inside of this section and you squeeze, they squeeze and they terminate into the cable. So you don't have to splice, you don't have to cut the cable and run a wire nut every single time you want to do this. This one you could pop in, snaps in place, and you could keep it moving. This is what I will be using for my power source. This is my transformer. This converts your household, 110, 120 to the 12 volts that we need for these lights. This one is a little bit older. I picked it up maybe 2 years ago, but they still sell these in Lowe's. They sell them in Amazon, and I'll have the links for all of this, so in case you need to buy it. This one is cool. This has a place where you could have 2 sort of outputs of power. What eventually I'm gonna have is on the other side of the driveway, I'm gonna have to run another cable. So one end will be for that, and then one end will be the front of the house and the other side of that driveway. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to wire this up. Very simple. First, we want to make sure it's unplugged, and I already spliced these ends. And remember I said, rib to the right. So we're gonna put the rib cable on this side and the flat cable over here. And this isn't the permanent place I'm gonna put it in. It's just easier for me to film here and show you, versus on the other side of the house. I don't have nothing to rest it on yet. Remember guys, righty tighty, lefty loosey, and this doesn't have to be super tight. Cool. So here will be the moment of truth. Let's see if I could get that. Let's plug it in. Cool. Don't you love it when everything works out? So that floodlight turned on. Let's check the other floodlight. Cool, that light's on. And we have an issue on this side. So it looks like this one has a problem. Let's go ahead and dig it back up and troubleshoot. So you would want to unplug it, but let's just try to see what the issue might be here. Ah, I see what the issue is. So over here we have the flat end of the cable with the rib side. So let's see. Oh no. Alright, we got rib side with rib side. Still no smoke. Let's take this out. See what's going on. So everything looks fine with this. Let's double check the connectors. Like you see, this one, it wasn't pushed in all the way. Let me go ahead and grab a wire cutter. We got the rib to the right. Cool. Lights back up. So you saw in that scenario where the puncture wasn't, it was too close to the end. So all we did was cut a little bit of wire, reinserted it back, snapped it back in place, and you saw a light come back on. Easy peasy, right? I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this light back up, and I'm gonna finish trenching and burying the cable, as well as making the transformer go in its final spot, and hopefully it'll be dark by then so we can see the final outcome. I wanted to wrap this video while we still had a little bit of light, but you guys can see how the project came out. I'm gonna come back out when it's a little bit darker, get some more shots for you guys. Well guys, that's how it came out. It's about maybe a half hour, 40 minutes after the sun has set. You can see the results. I do have a light by the door, so it's like a little chandelier light, comes on during dusk, turns off at dawn. So I'm not worried about too much about getting that area lit up, but you guys can see the results. This is something you could do it yourself. The transformer is rated for 200 watts. Each of the canister lights are rated for 5 watts. The floodlights are rated for 4 watts. So you can see we got 20 watts there, another 8 watts in flood. So that's 30 watts. We could have plenty of more lights on this transformer. It's not like back in the day when you would use halogen bulbs. They would take, 20, 30, 40, 50 watts each. So you could only have a handful of lights. But with this LED technology, they use less power, so you could add a few more lights onto your transformer. In the next video, you'll probably see additional lights on the driveway. I'm gonna wait a couple of weeks and get that done, and you could see the update on that. Well guys, if you're here for the first time, please subscribe. Make sure you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. So I also hooked it up to a smart outlet, so we could go right from my phone, off, then right from my phone, on. So like you guys can see, we have these 3 lights right here, this lamp, and as we're walking down the path, it's very dark. But go ahead, turn it back on, and you can see how much safer it is walking on the path.